Bob, you were there when the Celtics got Scott Wedman. You covered him when he was in Kansas City. And now the people who are watching Celtics City have an opportunity to realize how important he was to that team.
Scott Wedman came to the Celtics in 1982-83 season as part of an ongoing warfare between the Celtics and the 76ers primarily, and also the Lakers ultimately. But people have to, if youngins, you have no idea what the atmosphere of it's like in the early 80s with the Celtics and the 76ers, matching 60-win seasons, doing one-upsmanship things such as when the 76ers signed Lionel Hollins in 79-80.
Right.
The Celtics responded with Pete Maravich, and that was exactly the reason why they did it. I'm telling you right now. And then there were even draft days when they were trying to outmaneuver each other to just take a guy that the other guy wanted, Well, I forget what the exact trigger was for this one, but in 82-83, the Celtics picked up two-time All-Star from Kansas City and Cleveland, Scott Wedman, a well-known shooter, great 6'7" forward shooter, to help augment the team. His contributions were not gargantuan, but they were significant. They were important.
Timely. When you say they were timely?
Well, the two things I'm going to cite. In 85-86, McHale got hurt before the in late January, I think it was, and he missed a number of games. And they were able to plug in Scott Wedman as a starting forward and didn't miss a beat. This is on their way to 67 wins, right? They never had a down. They never had a bump in the road. They was very consistent, and including losing McHale having a tremendous year, but Wedman was there for them, and that was fine. The other great, the thing that people remember, Memorial Day Massacre in '87, Scott Wedman went 11 for 11.
Right.
Now I have to say he entered the game. They were up by 28. I think, but he went 11 for 11, and I can still see the ball moving around the horn. Literally, they all five people touching the ball, and when him winding up with one in the left corner and letting it fly, the crowd going out of its mind. He was a hard worker. He was a guy. The other thing we remember, those of us who covered him remember about him, he was a big health food guy. He was a big health food guy. Not eating any hot dogs, I'll tell you that. And they used to kid him about it. He would carry stuff around. But he was he's not a Hall of Famer, but he's on that next level. He's a nice player, career, and he was an all-time player at Colorado. But he was, a good auxiliary player on that wonderful era, and should be remembered. Yeah.
Well, that's what we do in Boston. We love those guys.
Sure. Well, he kind of played a role, not as long and not as significant, but in certain days, the role Don Nelson played in the first 3 or 4 years, 3 years, so he's with the Celtics.
Didn't he break?
Okay? And now he got to be, but then Nelly evolved into, it was a major force. But the Nelson of 86, of 66, 67, 68, that Don Nelson, that would be Scott Wedman.
Didn't Wedman have to play with a face mask once?
Trying to remember, I think so.
I remember seeing
Larry did, but
he broke his cheekbone or something, or broke his nose and had to have it. Anyways, Bob, thank you for the history lesson.